Snow-chan, where are you? En Akio? Snow-chan, do you want to ride the Ferris wheel?
Yeah.
Are you scared?
No. What do I need that scared? まだよ。
まだまだまだ。
まだまだ。そこ後で乗りたい。乗りたい。違う。
そっち？行くの？
Are we not going to do? No. おいでやん。
出ないでしょ、ここに。うわ
ー Snow-chan, where are you now?
もちろん見える。
怖くないの？
バイバイ。
怖くない？いや、怖いママ、怖い。
お、
うわ、もう行くよ。うわ
すっごい。ママ見て。怖いで、怖いじゃない。もうここ出てないでしょ。出てないでしょ。だから
出てないけどね。ああ、めっちゃ上行く。のちゃん。
怖い。
いいよ、ママ、乗って。Are you okay?
落ちたら嫌だ。お、あんたでそこに乗る？
いいよ。あ、それも乗りたい。それ。
じゃあこれはじゃあこれ乗るか。
いいよ。
ねえねえ、リメンバーここ乗ったでしょ？で、うわー、
うわー、もういっちゃう。大丈夫よ、大丈夫だって。
ねえ、それトヨタよ。
だって気持ちいいでしょ。
パーティーできるなぁ。
もう、ベーブ。
見て、下。ママ、下見て。
やだ
いいよ、だからいいじゃん。
やだ、ママ見えない。なんで乗ったのママ。もう、行かない。
はい。やっぱ怖い。We're stuck?
No, we're not stuck.
パパどうも。
やっぱよく行こうね。
Snow-chan, are you still scared?
No.
Not anymore?
Not anymore.
Because it's very fast.
Were you scared a while ago?
Yeah.
怖くない？
めっちゃ怖かった。
怖かったの？
でもここだったら怖くない。上も綺麗。まだ乗りたいよ。なんでこれバグだの？I thought very 高い。I thought it's very
Hi.
high and then
Hi.
it's so high because I thought it's going to Uchu.
Uchu, what's Uchu? What's
Uchu?
Uchu?
In the space.
You thought it was gonna fly?
Yeah, and then
Oh, bring all the fans now. Probably we're going down.
We're going down.
Yes. Ilaban naman kung down.
Ay, kimchi. Mata. Stay ne.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. We just need to go out. This doesn't stop now.
Nani?
What do you think, Snow? Di siya. Snow Chang,
Iki kita.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi. Snow Chang, kamusta ka? Nani? Sit down first, sit down. Was it fun? Was it fun? Were you scared? Why did you cry?
あ、それやって、あれもやって、すごいね、スノちゃん。お疲れ。Abi na kung maigo mo ulo dito sa kuan ba? Sa pole.
Iyo.
Jeto questo già no. Ora yara na yo. Ora yara na. Ora già no.
I love it, Mommy. Yes.
Nani?
Wait the heck?
Doko.
Wait there, Mom.
Snow Chang. Kamu hakko yan da ne. Nani? Wakannai kara. Snow Chang. Ah, you can feed. You can feed it. You can feed. Lagi dito. Over there. 100 yan naman.
Asa daw?
I know.
Dinding.
Ito. Ay, kana. No, tsaka ito.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
We give him first. No, no, like this. Okay, then. Tabi tayo niya, tabi mo na kasi pero. Kachi. Okay. Mas tatlo. Ay. Isha.こういう感じ。お、ちょっと待って。ごめんね。よいしょ。はい。で、よいしょ。ください。はい、もう一つです。はい。で、これで、はい。あと最後。はい、どうぞ。はい。
In the rain. Ah! Oh my god! Oh my gosh! Oi! Hold it down.
Gorilla house. Ching, 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 ching.
Hold it down. I want to ride in the kidding now. Ayaka!
Ang paman chocolate.
I'm kidding the vacuum.
Kamare.
The ampamang I kill Saki. You can see the mark. Who's this?
Viking man?
No, see? You can see.
I can't see.
That's Ampamang.
Alright, okay.
And then this one is King Charles.
Alright, okay. Go to the car. Go to the car.
Oh, to push me.
Alright, not pushing you. Hey. Yeah.
I'm hungry. Wait, okay.
Snowchan, terus kita.
Terus kata mata nolita. Hi, I help up.
Hi, Snowchan.
Okay, time to go.
Kaya sa yung number ni Mama Inday.
Tita ko sa din eh. Tita niya. Tita.
It's to semi. Be careful. Where are we? Cafe? What cafe is this? Jin no Mori?
Jimbori. Okay. Hey. Ang latin ko. There's a bell.
Thank you, this man.
Ayun.
Alright, come on, you ring the bell. Ring the bell. The Lola is nice. The Lola's nice, man. Alright, come on. It's okay. Alright, that's enough. That's enough. Too noisy. Hi, 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 hi. Arigato. Okay.
Come on. Come here.
Kyotsukete, Snow-chan. You go with Mama, come on.
What the?
Go, 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 go. Careful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the OK Show. Happy Halloween, Tinakte. It's All Saints Day, All Souls Day. Which one is it? All Saints Day, right?
Um, I have no idea, man.
November 2nd is probably All Souls Day. Right. All Saints
Hold on.
Day and All Souls Day comes after All Saints Day. Halloween on the
What is it?
31st.
Today is
Then,
November 1, right?
yes. Then November
Okay.
2nd is All Souls Day. Right. Happy All
Got it.
Saints Day. Is it supposed to be Happy All Saints Day? Are we supposed to say that? Happy All Saints Day. You say Happy Halloween.
I don't think. I can't imagine the dead people being happy. But I guess if you end up in the right place, you're happy where you are. I know a lot of people are living and they're not happy. So where are we to judge, right? So hold on, you can hear me, right?
I can. Loud and clear.
We're good. We're good. Alrighty. So we got
Gabby,
our
finally.
episode.
Yeah, finally.
First episode of the month, and we only have like 3 or 4 live episodes per month. Is that the case?
Right.
Yeah. All right. So what do we have a topic? What are we talking about?
You didn't check?
No, I didn't check. I didn't check. I had my hands full. I literally I came rushing down here. I'm like, I had my hands full. That's the thing. It's like, because we're not used to doing the live on Mondays. We usually do it on Saturdays, but obviously we had to reschedule because of
Right. I had a thing.
Yeah, Iceman had a thing. See, when we rescheduled, like because of Iceman, it's because he had a thing. When we rescheduled because of me, it's because I forgot. There's a difference right there. All right.
Just
Huge difference.
lying around the couch, looking at the clock,
Yeah.
and wondering, is there something that I should be doing right now? Probably not. Nah. All right, I'll get my guitar, play the guitar. I think there's something that I should be doing right now.
I have so much time. What's going on? Like the day went by just really slowly. It was just creeping by. So, all right, welcome to the show. For those of you obviously joining us, you can chat with us. There's a way that you can chat. You could probably check it out. And we are doing this live. We're on it until 10 p.m. So hopefully you can join in. And since it is All Saints and also okay, I gotta ask. This is when the horror episodes happen, right?
Right.
Okay, so it's not during Holy Week. Because like Holy Week
No,
has
it's
Viernes
not.
Santo. No, but Holy Week
It's
has
not.
Viernes Santo, which is kind of
It's
like
not.
also like it's not creepy, right? Like Viernes Santo is not scary. It's not like
Some people would want to
because there's no
make it
God or
scary.
something, right?
Yeah, they kind of try to spin it that way. They would want you to be scared because they're saying that Jesus died. There's no God for 3 days. So they're trying to scare you with that sort of idea. But usually it's not. It's the
Yeah.
All Saints Day, All Souls Day holidays that we have those scary stuff on television. More like Halloween.
Yeah.
'Cause
I know.
it's,
So
like I said, 31st Halloween, then All Saints Day, then All Souls Day. So it's So that's Halloween going up to leading up to All Saints Day and All Souls Day. I think that's how it is in the Philippines.
yeah, so it's scary because like dead people are walking. I mean, it's closely related. In fact, I think I'm not sure if it's the origin. I'm pretty sure we got it from the Spaniards or just the Spanish folks. But in
Right.
Mexico, right? Mexicans they have the Dias de las Muertes or something like Day
Right.
of the Dead.
Similar
And
to
if you see
our All Saints Day, All Souls Day.
similar to ours, yeah, they celebrate the Day of the Dead. They kind of commemorate those who have passed on, and they have a lot of beliefs regarding the afterlife and so on. If you've seen the movie Coco, you'll probably have like an idea of how it kind of works and stuff over there. But it's not that different from ours. And here in the Philippines, obviously, we put our own twist to it as well. But it's changed since. I mean, there was a time when people went to cemeteries to party and gamble and drink and play music and it went crazy. I remember I'm not sure which year it was, but I remember there was a time when there was like a Pizza Hut, there was a Jollibee stall at Davao
Dunkin'
Memorial.
Donuts.
There was a, they had stalls like literally, and
Yeah.
you see all
Yeah.
these like teenagers hanging around with their friends, and they're all holding their
Right.
radio sets. I don't know if cell phones were around already then, but I just remember people were like holding the radios, like doing eyeballs at the cemetery, and everybody was at Davao Memorial Park, regardless of whether you had a loved one who was buried there or not. I was obviously one of them. At the time, I didn't have a close family who was buried at Davao Memorial Park, but I would go with my friends and just a flock of people, and you kind of forget what that's about, right?
Ginawang hangout.
And yeah, ginawang hangout, ginawang sugalan, ginawang inuman, ginawang bar. And I don't know, obviously you're supposed to respect the dead and celebrate, it's their day, but it's the living that calls the shots, right?
Well,
So
if anything, it's actually, yeah, you're doing it for them because you're doing it in the name of those people who died. I think that's
yeah,
the idea of it. You can't
yeah,
party anymore. We're gonna party for you. We're gonna be here.
yeah,
We're gonna drink ourselves to death, or
yeah,
probably gamble ourselves to death. That happens. People playing
yeah.
cards. All of a sudden, they start stabbing each other or shooting each other. Literally, they gamble themselves to death. Right? And
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
doing that in the name of the people who went before them. I don't know
Okay.
why. I mean, I did that too. Usually my family would be at Memorial Park, right? I had a
Yeah,
I had a grandfather who was buried there. Then my grandmother's brother, who's also my grandfather technically, also was buried there. So it's an extended family. So we would go there and we would be with families, right? But then there was a point in
yeah,
time when the families weren't going there and we didn't set up a tent or whatever. But then I would still go there because my friends would be there because they have their families over there.
yeah,
Though my family's not there, I would be there because they're there and they're meeting up with people. They're meeting up with girls. They're like the
yeah,
eyeballs and whatnot. So well, that was kind of a thing. I don't know now, but that was a thing, and that
yeah.
was actually fun if you think about it.
Yeah, actually, it does. I mean, what are the dead gonna do? Complain? But obviously, people were like reacting to that and stuff. Obviously, the older folks, they're more traditional and they're more conservative about how to go about things. Hey, as long as people are there and they're celebrating with the dead, obviously. But I think the issue there was that there was too much trash. People were fighting, like you said. Things were getting out of hand. It became a security issue. Kids were using it as an excuse to leave the house and do crazy stuff. So that was back in the day. Obviously now, like, I think the cemeteries are closed, mainly to
Is it because
avoid
of the pandemic, or
it's
has
because of
it
the
been like
pandemic.
this
No, this is the
the
first time.
past few years?
I'm not sure. I don't think last year. I don't think they did this last year. But usually, I don't visit my loved ones in the cemetery until after. So we have we have it cleaned up and everything. So we get it done after, like around November 3 or 4 or 5. So just like that, let the dust settle. Literally, let the dust settle, and then have the um, what is that called? The tombstones like cleaned up.
Right.
All right. So creepy stuff. Is that what we're talking about? We're talking about some of your spooky experiences. And Iceman and myself, we are both products of radio, and we have both done the graveyard shift. So I have some stories about, you know, doing the radio shift during the board time until 1 a.m., which was the time of our sign off. And sometimes I would even spend the night at a radio station, with a technician. I wouldn't bring anybody else there, just a technician. And it was a platonic working relationship with them. So I don't know, Ice. Have you had any spooky experiences? Let's get the ball rolling here, and then we want to hear from the people out there. Joe Boy, Patrick, Gab, of course, Mary Beth. Welcome to the show. If you have any spooky experiences, you don't have to present any evidence. Just tell us. And sometimes it's nothing, but it's spooky to you. Let us know about it. And if you don't have any, tell us a spooky experience of a friend or a loved one. And I'm
I
sure
don't
you've
think you
heard
can get
a
an evidence
story or two.
about these spooky experience.
You can't. If you can, you get paid 1 million.
Right.
You get what I mean?
That's yeah. We talked about this before. If you have
Yeah,
evidence, you'd be rich. You get that one
yeah,
million
yeah.
dollars that people
That's true.
are offering on the internet.
I don't know if the offer still stands, but but that's the thing. It's like your word. That's it. People have to just take your word. If you tell somebody a ghost story, you know, they'll believe it based on how credible you are as a person, based on your track record. If you're a bulatic person and you make up stories, you know, 32 days in a month, then you're not gonna fall for that. But hey, believe what you want to believe, right? We all have our experiences. We all have our own perception of a certain occurrence. And the best that we can do is share it with people, and it's up to them to believe it or not. Do you believe in ghost eyes? I mean, do you believe
No,
in the
no,
paranormal? You don't?
no, I
Like
don't.
zero? Like you don't think they exist? You don't think there's another plane or
Well,
where?
how can you
And sometimes,
explain that? Nobody can explain it to me, so I'm not gonna believe it. There, in everything, there should be an explanation. Everything can be
okay,
explained. So sometimes when you can't explain things, you resort to these types of reasoning.
you find an explanation, you create one,
Yes,
you
yeah,
make
you
one up.
create one, supernatural, paranormal, whatever. I mean, you come up with stories, you come up with scenarios that you haven't really seen. So I mean, it's not imagination, but you're coming up with what you think and what you think transpired, right? But then
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
there's one time. I don't know how to explain this, but it happened. But then I would like to think that there was a malfunction or whatever.
yeah.
I don't attribute it to um ghosts or whatever, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we went to a party. This was in San Rafael, right? You know where
Ma,
San Rafael? Yeah, Ma,
ma,
right?
right? Yeah.
So we went to San Rafael. It's a small. No, it was like it. Okay, San Rafael is a village, right? This
Yes,
is a
yes.
right.
It's
Okay,
after
so
Marfori, right? That's the one after
Marfori,
Marfori, right? And then
Marfori, EMP. That's where
and
my
it
aunt
ends at
lives.
O George. So once you're at O George, you're past San Rafael. Do you know where O George
I
is?
think so. I think so. Yeah, of course
Okay.
I
You
do.
know that
I
bridge,
mean,
with a golf
who
with a
doesn't
mini golf?
know? Who doesn't know where Old George is?
No, because you've been away for a while, dude. I don't know. You've been away. I don't know how.
All right.
There's a
Anyway,
lot there now.
so
All right, good.
I yeah. So I think at that point that's D Hill or something.
Yeah,
There's that bridge, right? But I'm talking about San
yeah, yeah,
Rafael before
yeah.
going down, before going to before getting to Old George. So
Okay.
San Rafael, right? So
Yeah,
this
yeah,
this house is my aunt's um sister-in-law's house, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So there was a party there. They went, so we went because we were staying over my aunt's house.
yeah,
So we were there.
yeah,
I was a kid, and there was a big party. There were a lot of people there. Probably more than
yeah,
30 people were there, and there were
yeah,
the adults drinking there. They have their own space. Then the kids
yeah,
playing everywhere. Then the ladies, they have their own space as well. So everybody's just minding their own business, doing stuff. Some people watching TV, some people playing music, and
yeah.
the guys who are drinking were like laughing. They're making a lot of noise. And all of a sudden, the phone rang. All right, the
Hmm.
phone started ringing, and this was
Yeah.
a
This was back when
that
people
rotary
had
phone.
landlines. This was back
Yes,
when people still had
this is
landlines.
this is a
You have to explain.
landline.
You have to explain to people when you say phone, it's not a mobile phone. It's literally
It's
like
not.
a
It's
landline
not a
phone.
mobile phone. It's a landline
Yeah.
phone. It's a telephone. It's an old ass phone. This is a rotary phone. The black one. Remember that?
Yes.
The
Yes.
old
Of course.
PLDT
We had.
rotary phone,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Heavy as heck. Super heavy.
yeah, it was heavy. You can kill someone with that. You can
Yeah.
whack somebody with that phone, and they'd go into a coma, right? So yeah, right. So that phone, it started ringing, and it keep on ringing, right?
Yeah.
It kept ringing. It kept ringing. Nobody was picking it up. So I was, what's happening? It kept on ringing, and everyone was just like looking at each other, right?
Yeah.
The people who live there, and like the adults were there, but they were like laughing. They were like they were laughing as hell. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on, but nobody picked up the phone.
Yeah.
So finally, a kid who was there, younger than I am, um, picked up the phone because everybody was like, all right, pick up the phone, because nobody was picking it up, and I didn't know why. I was like, what's going on here? Is this a
Yeah,
prank?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
I mean, why isn't somebody picking up the phone? So he picked it up and he said, hello, hello. This was a small kid, probably 5 or 6.
yeah,
And they were
yeah.
asking the kid, oh, is somebody there? Sino, sino, sino. Sino yan, sino yan? And hello, hello. And nothing. So they just laughed, and the kid put down the phone. He hung up, and okay. So I was like, why were they laughing? The adults there were laughing. Even the ladies
Yeah,
were
yeah.
laughing. The guys were laughing. But then they started talking. So it was like, what's going on? Then I found out that phone wasn't connected. It was actually cut.
Yeah.
Dude, I could see the wire. It was just like it was sort of a
Yeah, yeah,
decoration
yeah.
because it doesn't have a
Yeah.
line. But that
Props,
phone
like props
kept
phone.
ring. Yes. So it
But it
was
was ringing.
ringing.
Okay, hold
It
on.
was
Something's
ringing.
up.
It
Those
right?
those things should not ring. Those
Exactly.
those are old school phones. The newer ones, maybe they're wireless or whatever, but these things are not
Right?
wireless. These things, when they're cut off, they have no power, nothing. It's you know
Nothing.
that is
So
weird.
I don't know. So I don't
That's
know.
weird.
But then
But hold on,
that
hold on.
that was
Was it a
weird.
scary
That was
day?
weird.
Was
It
it a
wasn't because
creepy?
they
But
were
it was
just
a
like
party, right?
laughing.
Yeah,
It
there
was
were
a
people
party.
there,
They were
right?
just like laughing. But then they started talking. I was very curious. So I started eavesdropping because the ladies were talking. My auntie and um, her sister-in-law and the other visitors were there, and they were talking. So I tried to eavesdrop, try to find out what happened. So I found out that that place they say was sort of haunted
Haunted.
in a way,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
sometimes in the middle of the night the faucet would start dripping, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and nobody's there, whatever, and it just like sometimes
Yeah.
stop,
The
something
gasket
like
needs
that.
to be replaced.
Exactly, right. So that's what I'm
The
saying. I
rubber
mean,
gasket is
but
worn out.
yeah, but they were saying like,
But it only
oh, because
happens at
we're near.
midnight. But it only happens at midnight.
And they were
Like
saying
during
that,
the
well,
day, it's perfectly
but
fine.
then you don't know, man. Maybe at that point in time,
The water
maybe that's the
pressure was
time in.
strong
Yeah,
because
the
the
the,
water
wa- the
pressure was
water flow was,
stronger because no
yes,
one else is using
exact,
it. Because no one else is
exactly,
using it.
yeah,
Because it's
right.
like, yeah,
There's
there
an
you go.
explanation, but they were
Yeah,
saying like,
it's like
oh,
an
we live
odd
near a
hour.
river, and there's like a bamboo, whatever there, and there's
Yeah, yeah.
it's just scary,
But
it's spooky, it's
but
haunted. That's what they were
I
saying.
have to say this. San Rafael, that's I mean, nothing against the people who live there. I mean, you're good, but that area, that San Rafael, Dijo, that part, that road there, it it's creepy, man. I mean, whenever if I have the choice to not drive through there, I will not drive through there. I mean, it's at the middle of the night, like at nighttime. Now at least
My
it's more
dad,
lively because
my
there are
dad drove there
establishments there.
all the time. And
I know.
you know
I'm not.
you know why? You know why
Why
because
happened?
before I used to, yeah, these things could be true. It might be true. But then my dad would always discourage me like, what are you what are you, a child? And he would always tell me that. I mean, these things, all these things are in your head. That's what he was saying to me. It was like, if these things are true, I would have been dead a long time. Like, especially
Yeah.
where I live, there was a big
Yeah.
ass
Yeah, his
mango tree over
lifestyle
there,
and his
right?
lifestyle, probably coming home
Yeah,
drunk, middle of the night. He's a perfect victim
exactly.
for like a manananggal. Like
Exactly.
he's the
Exactly. And
he's the
there were
stereotypical
times
target.
that he would get off not at the shortcut, but actually at the at the actual canto of our village, right? So he
Yeah.
would get off there and he would walk and he would pass by that big mango tree. And people were saying like, "Oh, there's a white lady over there," or sometimes
Capre.
yeah, capre or something, or you would see a guy hanging, whatever. So it was kind of like
Yeah.
these stories, man. I mean, you know how these stories getting gets passed on from generation to generation. But then
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
never
yeah.
seen anything, and my
Yeah.
dad like he's never seen anything, and he
Yeah.
he 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 drove, he walked, I
Yeah.
mean, he never ran. Me and my brothers, we ran when we were
Yeah.
like small kids, and we would try
Yeah.
it's like bravery test. All
Yeah,
right, let's
this
try it.
was
But
before
dude,
we
no,
this was
yeah, we
before you
start
became
running.
an adult and stopped
Yeah,
believing. But I mean,
yeah.
okay, well that
I
that
was a
that
kid. I was a
that
kid. I was like
landline phone
in
story,
elementary
that's
school.
that's
Yeah, that
creepy. If
was
I
creepy though. That
experienced
was
that,
creepy though.
I would try to get to the bottom of that. I would be like, I would like thoroughly check the phone. Like, is somebody pulling a prank here? It's just one of those phones that ring, even though whatever. It's just like a real phone or whatever. But But you know,
But
obviously it was
okay,
probably a real,
here's the thing.
you know, yep,
In my mind, it could be that one of the guys know how to do something about it. They could have like tripped something inside it and it would
yeah,
start
because they were
ringing,
laughing, because they were laughing,
right?
right?
So they were laughing. So I mean, that could be a reason. I mean, are you an engineer? Do you know anything about the old rotary
Yeah,
phone? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
you know what can trigger the ring or whatever,
yeah.
right? Well,
Well,
you
no, no,
don't know
no.
that, so
I'm not. No, no, no.
so
Well, let me
I
ask
don't
you.
know that,
What was during this time? Were cell phones around already? Were people like do?
dude. Not yet. I was in elementary school. What are you talking
Oh yeah,
about?
yeah.
What
Because it
cell
was
phones
still
are
the
you talking
old
about?
black. It wasn't. Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
old black rotary. It
right.
wasn't even the push. But yeah, it wasn't even
No, it's
like
not even the push
yeah,
button. It was
yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah.
you
So
know,
this was like
no
single
cell
digit
phones yet.
numbers. These were single
Yes,
digit numbers. These were. I mean,
no
not
cell
single,
phones
but I
yet.
mean like
Okay, all
no
right.
two
Those
yet.
phones already existed. The buttons, but that house had the rotary
Kind of
phone.
behind. Okay, got
So
it.
this was around the 90s. No, no, no. Late.
Yeah,
It could be 1990 or 91, or it could be 89. So around that
that's
time.
pretty
No way, it
creepy,
was
man.
93. This was like
That's
before
pretty
that. This was
creepy.
before 93, 92. So I would say 89, 90, 91. Around that time. I don't think cell phones
Yeah,
were out yet. Maybe
yeah.
in
That's
America,
creepy.
maybe in the US, you already had cell phones there, but
I I have
not in the Philippines.
I haven't experienced anything like that. Unless somebody like pulled a prank or something, and then later on you figure it out. Because when you're a kid, sometimes when you're a kid, you're so innocent, you don't really get what the adults are doing. If you have a kuya in the house, you have an uncle who's a prankster or whatever, and you fall for it and you believe it for like how many years of your life, and then you become an adult, like you find out how the magic trick was done, and you're like, okay, I get it now. But when you're younger, you fall for that stuff. But anything like scary related or creepy related. No, I'm thankful nobody really pulled a major prank on me that I believed in something because I saw something and I believed it to be true for like many years of my life. But with yours, it's hard to outgrow that because you witnessed it. It was an actual phone. You saw that the wire wasn't connected and it was ringing. So that's creepy in itself. I've had two major creepy experiences. I've shared that before already. The one where I was saying that, my mom's yaya passed away, and then tragic death, and then when before her 40 days, remember we had new house helps, and I don't know if she was scaring them or whatever, but I was watching TV and my Lola was playing the rosary in the bedroom by herself. My mom was away, and the dog started barking, and funny enough, the dog's name was Snowy. I mean, obviously the dog was
Right.
white,
Okay,
and he
barking,
was going,
not howling, right? Was
I'm
it a
howling,
howl or
howling,
a bark?
barking, then started howling. And,
Oh crap.
we always hear dogs howl, right? But it
Right.
never happened to us. Like we've always had dogs in the compound, but we've never had our dogs like howl, and especially like that. The dog was specifically howling, and the dog was like, oh, like really like almost conversational howling. It wasn't like, oh, it was more like, oh, it was like conversing with somebody, almost like you could almost figure out that whatever it is that the dog was
Right.
saying, it was almost to the point where it's talking. It wasn't just like
Mhm.
howl. It was like howl mixed with like whatever. And that in itself freaked me out. I remember I was watching TV. I'm not sure what it was, but we have a small TV in the second floor of our house where we have the altar, and then my mom's room. We have like this sala space. And I was sitting
Mhm.
there and I was watching TV, and I heard the dog, and in the room of the house help was behind me. One of the doors was behind me. Before it was downstairs, but they were so creeped out about what happened before in that house that they chose to sleep in the upstairs room, which was vacant. So we had two new house helps. I remember them opening the door because they knew that
Mm.
my mom's yaya, our katiwala, my lola's like trusted house help, passed away like a month before. I remember them saying that, oh, that's her, like she's visiting us or whatever. And I was like, I wanted to tell them like, can you let me in? But obviously I didn't want to show that I was a, scaredy cat. And I didn't want to go in my Lola's room because I was thinking she might make she might appear in front of my Lola or something because she was very close to my grandmother and my Lola was praying the
Mhm.
rosary. That in itself didn't creep me out, that the dog howling part. But when I smelled this thing pass, you could literally like you can smell that it passed me by. It wasn't something that was like right there in front of me and you smell it. You could smell it like passing
Mhm.
because the intensity of the scent got stronger and then it got weaker. A smell combination of not roses, flowers specifically, and candles. I'm not sure which type of flowers, but they were definitely flowers and candles. It's like a mixture of both. And man, it creeped me out, and I didn't even want to look like to my right or to my left. I remember I just like froze, and I was like sitting down, and I didn't want to look on the side, on the left, whatever. I was like focusing on the TV, and I was like saying in my head, because her name is Maria, Manang Maria, and I was like saying, Manang Maria, please, this is you, don't show up. Like don't appear before me. That's all I was. Wag ka lang magpakita.
Right.
I was like saying that in myself over and
It
over again.
wasn't her.
I was praying it in my head, but I was, what? I was 10 years old. I was a kid,
Right.
11 years old.
See, here's the
However
thing
old I
with
was.
this is one of the things that people, talk about the dogs howling. They're always saying that, oh, when they howl, they're probably seeing something. You know what I'm saying? We always hear that from the horror movies that we watch, or from
Yeah, it's like a cliche. It's
our
like a cliche.
lolos or
Horror movies,
lolas,
there's
our
always like,
aunties. Yeah,
oh,
they would
yeah,
always say that, like, oh yeah, that's the reason why. They're probably seeing a soul or a spirit, or whatever. But then I just googled it. Then I googled, why do dogs howl? Many dogs howl when stimulated by certain high pitched sounds like sirens and music, or in response to another dog's vocalizations. That's what it says here. Howling acknowledges
yeah,
that they hear the sound and express their readiness to respond or desire to join in the action. So that's the main
yeah,
reason why they howl. It's not because they saw something, or it's not because there's a
yeah.
ghost. So it's, see, I mean, if you
Well,
know
I,
more, then
like,
you would,
like,
you know what I'm saying.
like,
But if you
like
know
I said,
less,
yeah. But what I'm
it
saying
will
here
keep
is, yeah,
creep you out.
that's one of the reasons they do that. It's one of the reasons they do that. I'm not saying that the dog saw something. I'm just saying this, just the coincidence of it. If it was a coincidence that, yeah, the dog howled and then I
Yeah, I
smelled
mean,
that
yeah,
thing,
that's I know, right? But
that was the one that
me,
kind of like did it for me. But a dog howling, I'm not automatically saying there's a ghost there. Like, even when I was a kid,
because
if I
my
hear it,
mother would always tell me that if the dog started howling, I mean, the neighbor's dog starts
it
howling,
would scare.
across the street,
She'd scare
she'd
you.
be like, "Oh,
Yeah,
somebody's gonna die. Somebody's gonna die in a few days." And indeed, sometimes,
I truly
yeah,
believe
it
that.
happens. Yeah, I think someone died,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
my mom was like, "Oh, it's probably it was. I mean, it was kamatayan. You know, picking up
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
person,
Yeah.
sinusundo na, something like that." But then,
Yeah.
if you know
But
more about these things, then it wouldn't really scare you or creep you out. But
yeah, we
then
didn't have
when
Google
we were
back then,
kids,
so
yes,
you
we have
know.
Google back then. So when I was a kid, um, yeah, I would buy those stories, and I would be like,
You
"Holy
believed it.
crap, why is this happening?"
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
supernatural things that can't be explained. But then once you get to know more about certain things, like for example, birds or dogs. I mean, okay, back then we always hear um the term wak wak, right? Ah, wak wak,
Yeah.
right? We talked
Actually a
about this.
bird, right?
Yeah, so it's probably a bird. I don't know. I mean, and here's the thing: they'd always say, like my wife would tell me, it's true. Wak wak is true, and I mean, so what's a wak wak? And they'd be saying, you have to be careful because they're very devious. That's what she said,
Yeah.
or at least my mother-in-law. That's what she said. They're very devious. When the sound is really loud, that means they're far.
Same with
But if the
Tianak. That's what they
sound,
said about Tianax as well.
right?
That's what,
If
when
the
the baby cry
sound
is
is
loud, it's far.
right, so if the sound is like, it seems like it's far away, they're actually near. It doesn't make fucking sense. I mean, how can you do that?
I
If it's
know, but I
loud,
mean,
it's not
it's
near.
like
Then if it's
I was
like,
actually,
if it's it's like
we've
faded
all
out,
heard
it's
about the
like
Sigbin,
near.
right? The Sigbin was probably like a friggin' kangaroo that escaped the zoo or something, and
I
then like
know, or
I
it's
don't know,
some deformed
ran
dog or
around
something.
some random neighborhood. I mean, I'm not,
Yes,
like I said, I was, you
it's
have to think, I was
chupacabra,
10 or
right?
11,
In
10 or
Mexico, they
11,
call
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
chupacabra.
chupacabra, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was 10 or 11 years old when this happened, and like I said, if it was just the howling, it wouldn't freak me out because we've seen movies and we know that wolves howl in movies, and it's not because they're monsters. Usually they miss their master, or they're like far away, or they see the moon or whatever it is. And I never like assumed that when you hear a dog howl that there was a mumu nearby. But obviously we have that fear, as kids.
But yeah, it's
But just
because of the
that
smell that you
combination
had.
of
It
the
could
fact
be,
that, yeah, it's a combination of
maybe you were
the things
experiencing a
where
reaction. It could be a reaction on your
probably,
part
probably,
because you
but
were so
I don't
scared,
know.
and you know,
Yeah, but
I don't know,
you
maybe
have to
something
think
was
though.
going on with your body and you
Yeah,
started
yeah, yeah.
smelling something that you were not supposed to
In my
smell.
mind, because like I said, there was just a recent death, and it was obviously almost a member of the family. We considered her to be a member of the family. She was, it was a tragic death, and it hasn't been like um, it's been a month. It hasn't been like 40 days. I remember that it wasn't yet 40 days because we got home like a month after, and that smell that I've never. It was like really strong. It seems so alive. And if anybody was playing a prank on us, it was just my grandmother. It was me. It was the two new house helps who were helpless as can be. They came from the provinces, so they were as innocent as heck. I mean, they wouldn't be able to. They would pull a prank or anything. I mean, I can totally discount that, especially that was like their first night in our house, and we lived in a big house, which was empty, and we lived in a compound. So if anybody ever lit up anything, it would take a while for me to smell. It would be outside. It wouldn't be that strong. It felt like the scent was right beside me, and then it faded, and it stuck with me, and maybe it could be just a combination of a lot of things. Like you said, maybe I was thinking about it, and then the dog howled, and then maybe somebody put a perfume on. Maybe it was my Lola. She opened a bottle of perfume in the room or lit an incense or something. I don't know what the heck she did. And then that kind of like created that scenario, and it stuck with me for the rest of my life. Now, I'm not saying that that's proof that there's whatever, but it's a creepy experience nonetheless. It's like when you see a shadow or something, or like at the radio station where we do the graveyard shift. We're there, we do sign off, and sign off is usually 9 to 12 or 8 to 12 midnight. And then we have to put in some songs, and then we sign off at 1 a.m.
Mhm.
So there are many times where in Kilo B back in the day, our station was like here, like where I'm sitting, and then I would look at the wall, and on the side would be the door, and we have like a little glass window for those who haven't been to the station yet. And on the side of me, we're separated by a wall, would be the recording booth, and there's nobody there. So at night, it's just the DJ on board and the technician or wherever the visitor was, if we had visitors over. And many times it would just me and the technician would be Nixon, and Nixon would always be like downstairs or going somewhere. So you're practically alone in the whole station. And you would always like kind of catch a glimpse of somebody passing by the glass window
Mhm.
and like headed towards the recording booth. And many times I've actually gotten up and I would actually open the door and check the recording booth, thinking that that was our technician. So, like, oh, bye. I would be like, I was expecting that he's actually there. Because, once you go to the recording booth, that's it. You can't go through the recording booth. You end there. You have to come back out.
Mm.
So I'm expecting that he's inside, right? So when I open the door and I go, bye, it's like, there's nobody there. So that's kind of creepy. I it could have been just a shadow or lights playing or the reflection of my watch, whatever. I wouldn't know. But it's happened, and I've spoken to other DJs about it, like Chuck and Joe and stuff. And yeah, they kind of they get that the junior jocks experience that. Like it feels like somebody just passed by outside the window, and it's creepy as heck. Especially if you're alone, and it's not your house. Like people would always say that, if a building was being constructed and one of the carpenters died during construction, that their spirit will live on. Kind of like what's this haunted place in Manila? Was it the cultural center? Was
Mhm.
that the cultural center where a lot of the
Yes,
people who were
CCP.
working there were buried?
Yes,
CC,
Cultural
yeah,
Center of
cultural
the
center of the
Philippines.
Philippines, right?
Right.
People were like buried underneath, and they didn't bother to retrieve all the bodies. Apparently, they just like poured cement over it because they needed to rush it because it was going to be used for a performance or whatever. That's what they said. So I don't know about that building, specifically where the station was, what the history of that building is, or whatever. But that just gave me the creeps. And I had another experience in Bangkok, which I already also talked about before, where I was like lying down taking a nap, and I felt shivers in my spine, like literally, like it felt like fingers that were ice cold, like running through my back, and it woke me up, and I caught it, like I caught it. It wasn't like my imagination or whatever, because I was taking a nap, and then I was awakened by it, and I caught the last part of it, like literally ice cold, felt like ice cold fingers running through my spine. So that term they say spine tingling, that was what I experienced. But the funny thing was, it could have been a spider, it could have been, I don't know what it could have been, like maybe a lizard, I don't know what it was, but I had a shirt on, so there's no way that it could have gone inside my shirt and just like run across my back. The thing about that experience was that my heart was started beating hard, and the hair on the back of my neck was standing, and I was literally like had goosebumps. Like it scared me. I mean, because if it was like a spider or something, you'd be like, oh, spider or a lizard or whatever. But that's I don't know if it's called the sixth sense or the third eye or whatever you want to call it. But we have this sense where it gets triggered with something creepy. Um, and when you get scared of a spider, a cockroach, or something, that's different. But when you have this, like, your heart starts to palpitate, start to get scared, and it's just a reaction that happens we have no control over. I think it's kind of like your body telling you that, hey, this is something that you don't understand. Not necessarily something that's paranormal, but it's something that you don't understand at that particular moment. Because I don't know if people feel that or experience that, and it's not because you're a scaredy cat, but you just get triggered. I don't know if people have that experience or have had that experience, but there are times when you get scared just entering a room, and something is triggered that scares you, and you're not scared. It's a different fear. Like if you're scared of a criminal or somebody about to kill you, or you're scared of a bad person, that's a different fear. But the fear of like this place just has that creepy vibe. That's a different kind of fear. And I don't know, like you said, it's a product of our imagination. It triggers something in us, but there is something in our bodies that react a certain way when it comes to fear of these things. Whether you believe in it or not, there is that fear. I don't know, it doesn't have to be at a cemetery or at a creepy hospital. I'm sure if you're human, you've felt it, and it doesn't have to be explained for you to understand it. It's not something that you understand. Joe Boy said Broken Shire College class pictures from yesteryears in the old library of that school. What made me really curious was, while I was still a student, to be honest, up until now, there was one class picture that had a visible face of a student that was thought to be dead already. It made me curious because it had a burnt facial appearance, which was blurred AF. Oh my gosh. I was born at Broken Shire Hospital. Um, yeah, Broken Shire is kind of like in a creepy spot of the city too. That's like near cemetery zone, like and before you get to Broken Shire, you have to go through like this like road that it's not it has its own world basically. So I don't know. But this is Broken Shire. Oh, Broken Shire College is even further, right, Ice? It's even like all the way up Broken Shire Hospital's
Yes.
nearer Bangkerohan, right? Broken Shire
Right.
College is like where the
Yeah, much
more
further.
cemeteries are.
Right.
Okay. All right. That's kind of creepy.
All right. Okay.
It's creepy.
Al Lane is saying there's a big creepy house at Marfori that the road goes around before approaching San Rafael. I think so. I think I remember that house. Okay.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the San Rafael Road before Gem Village used to be dark as fuck. That is why it is so creepy. The lights were less common. The only light source would be from cars' headlight. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Patrick was saying the dog probably heard something that you can't hear. Their ears are more sensitive to humans. That's true. Or Gabby's right. Nixon was the Mumu. Or who's Joker? He's probably the ghost of Joker complex. Probably. Who knows?
We don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a ghost. I never saw a face or anything. It's just like it just felt like something was passing
Right.
real fast. I personally haven't seen
So
anything like like standing there like piling.
there's this road that I take every time I play basketball on a Friday. Dude, it's by the river. It's by the cliff, actually. And it's really narrow. And nobody passes there because it's in the mountains. All right. It's a shortcut. So it's not a main road. It's really dark. I mean, you think Japan is like Tokyo? No, I mean if you go to the countryside, they don't have much lights on some
Yeah,
areas.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like San Rafael. San Rafael is better because it's not a cliff and they have bigger roads. I'm talking about only a small car, a yellow plate car, like those things that you see in the Philippines right now. Those surplus
yeah,
cars from Japan.
yeah,
Na
yeah, yeah.
alanganin ng
The
itsura. I
multicabs.
mean,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, like, not even that. I mean, multicabs, they're multicabs, right? But there are
yeah,
those,
yeah.
like
Like the
the
like the
small
Suzuki
cars.
Alto that you had. Like the Suzuki
Yeah,
Alto
the
that you had.
Alto, yeah.
Remember? Yeah,
only
yeah, yeah.
like, yeah, that would, but then it's a wonder why, if there is an Alphard in there, you would still fit. But even my brother Aldon was really creeped out when we took that road. He was like, "Why are we taking this road? This is so scary. We might fall because it's really narrow." But then you can fit
Yeah,
two cars there, but just barely, right? And I take that road every Friday. It's really dark, no lights, whatsoever. It's
yeah,
just your headlights, or like the other cars coming your way. Those are the only lights that you see. But I've been
yeah,
using that road for quite a while now, and it's, you know what I'm saying. But back in the day when I was younger, I would probably think that there's something, there's something there. And I even heard people, Filipinos, talking about, oh, that particular place, a lot of suicides took place, whatever, or, during the samurai period, there were people who jumped off the cliff or whatever, like killed themselves. All these things that I hear, but then I don't
yeah,
even know if that was accurate, if the stories that that they just told me were actually accurate, and they could have been making it up, or somebody told them something that was all made up. I mean, who knows, right? But the thing
yeah.
is, well, there's really nothing. I mean, you should be more scared driving there drunk, because you might really fall from, off the
Yeah,
cliff,
it's more.
right?
They said you
That's
should be more fearful. You should be more fearful of the living than the dead. Well, okay. Since we're talking about that, yeah, like we can Google everything now. Obviously, there a lot of things can be explained now. Back in the day, we realize that, the elders in the family are just saying, making up all these stories. There was really no proof of it. You watch the news every day, and you just hear these stories of like demon possessions and like whatever, but there's no concrete evidence of it. I mean, even first world countries, and it just doesn't hold up anymore like it did back in the day. Now, my question is, you think these things will last, or do you think they will die a natural death? I mean, the kids now, the next gen kids, they don't believe in this stuff anymore. And us as parents, to our kids, we don't tell them these stories anymore. Like I don't tell
But some
Raj that,
some
hey,
people would still believe in these things, because we
and
are we are programmed. I think as human beings, um, we have that tendency to long for that type of
that fear,
um
that feeling, right?
yeah, fear.
Yeah.
You
The,
need, you want to
the
know
thrill,
more. You want
the
to.
curiosity.
I mean, there's so many things that we can't explain even up to now.
Yeah.
Even in the age of the internet and all the technology that we have, there's still a lot of
Yeah.
questions that we ask ourselves, and we can't answer it, and we just, we just all of a sudden just buy into these things,
Yeah.
supernatural, or
And I
religion.
think it evolves. It evolves too. Because like for us, maybe our generation and our parents' generation, it was like white lady, manananggal, kapre. And now for the younger generation, they have different kinds of the horror is still there. There are still horror movies. Obviously, the theme is different now. And and even in this gen, kids are like, they associate clowns with horror now. Because when I was a kid, clowns were always like, it was a good thing to see clowns. You were happy when you saw
Really,
clowns. It was like a party. Like, I mean, I don't know. When I was a kid,
they've always
I
been
rarely saw.
creepy, man. Clowns
No, no,
they've always been creepy.
no, because they're adults dressed up as. Yeah, I get it, but not like how like how it's a horror thing now. I
I've
mean,
not seen that
I know.
movie. Was it really scary?
I No, I didn't
Was
watch
it?
it. I mean, but I
All
don't.
right, I didn't
I don't
watch it. I
specifically
don't
have a
want to
fear
watch
of
it.
clowns. I mean, but it came to a point where McDonald's actually kind of got rid of Ronald McDonald altogether, and they just created a mascot who's like this Ronald Jr., who's just a mascot, who's like has a big head and he's like a guy dressed up in a costume, rather than the actual Ronald McDonald mascot, who's a guy with the makeup on. They just got rid of him because it's true. They do scare the kids, and I think it's because they're adults wearing a makeup and acting all funny and silly. I wasn't really freaked out by clowns. I think it's depends on. There are people. I have a sister who's mortified of clowns. My tita is mortified of clowns. I remember going to we went to Fiesta Carnival in Cubao when it was still around. It's Shopwise now, but back then it was Fiesta Carnival, and they had clowns there, and she would not go near the clowns. She would literally like hide behind my dad, and like she was so scared of the clowns. And I was never really afraid of them. I always thought they just made balloon animals and made kids laugh and whatever. And I knew there were people dressed up in makeup, but now it's different. Now it's like they made a movie, Killer Clowns. Shake, Rattle, and Roll 6 made me fear
Made me fear
clowns.
clowns.
Yeah, I
What
don't
was
really
that
know when it
episode?
started. Yeah, I don't really know when the
Okay, do
clown
you
thing
remember
started.
Maria Labo? That urban legend was super popular in 2004, 2005. There's also a phone number that when you call that number, you'll hear a creepy voice on the line. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably a lot of people made tons of money because of those calls. You see,
Yeah, yeah, but yeah,
that
you
that was the
know,
catch there.
you can
That was
see
the
too, like
con.
how the same urban legends or horror stories. You can see that every part of the world has their
It
own
gets
version.
recycled. Yes.
Like here in the Philippines, okay, maybe in Mindanao specifically, we had Maria Labo. In the States, we had Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary was like this urban legend where you look at the mirror in midnight and then you say Bloody Mary, like a certain number of times, and you turn around and you will see her face show up in the mirror. And I've
Right.
never
So it's like
dared do it.
Candyman. It's like
Can
Candyman.
yeah, like that, or
Candyman
the
is like I
Ouija
think you,
board.
you say it
You know,
6 times.
has anybody tried Ouija board? Because when I was younger, we didn't have the Ouija board here in the Philippines. What we had was Spirit of the Glass. I would always hear Spirit of the
Yeah, we
Glass, like the glass,
I think we
right?
did that.
And then I
We did that with some
did we do
neighbors, but
did oh you guys did it, yeah, Spirit of the
yeah,
Glass, where like and
Spirit of the
then
Glass,
somebody's saying,
not the
oh,
Ouija board.
somebody's
Spirit of the
pushing it,
Glass.
somebody's
All right,
pushing
yeah,
it, and then in the
yeah.
States, they have the Ouija board, which actually has the letters and you could spell out and stuff. And I don't want to like, I mean, I know I don't, as much as I want to say I don't believe in that stuff, I never want to practice that at home and buy a Ouija board, play with it at home, because I don't know. Like I said, even though it doesn't exist per se, and I've never experienced it, like I haven't seen it or whatever. Like I don't want to
See,
mess around with stuff like that.
okay,
Um,
here's the thing.
because
I have a friend who's who's into this religion, like Ouija or something. Like it's not even like we people would say witchcraft. It's not witchcraft. They have a term for that. Is it Ouija or whatever? So she's a witch.
Mhm.
She would say she's a witch, and she has all these things, Ouija boards and whatnot. But it's not supernatural. That's what you was trying to say. It's the same thing as being in a Mormon or being in a Catholic religion or in the Christian religion. You're I don't know, like being like in all those other religions. So she was actually a witch. So I you
Yeah,
you you probably remember her. She has a store in Victoria Plaza. So all the people who practice witchcraft or whatever that religion was would go into her
yeah,
store and
she'd
buy
sell
those
that stuff.
incense and whatever. Yeah, but there's nothing like
Okay.
nothing supernatural about it or like monsters and spells and oh no, it's she was saying like no, it's that's crap. It's just things that you read on on like I don't know fantasy books or whatever or like fiction
Yeah,
books.
yeah, yeah,
That's what she
yeah,
said. So it's not
yeah.
true
I
that
I have a friend who
witches
drew a
would
pentagram in the library back in the day. I mean, we're still
right.
friends on Facebook. We hooked up, but we were friends in high school. There are a lot of kids like that in the States. We have classmates who are Satanists, who are atheists, who are, yeah, every kind of people. I mean, I don't know if it's their way of discovering themselves or they were influenced by another or they just grew up, whatever. I never really judged people. Like I'd still hang out with them. We don't have to go to the same church for us to be friends. And it, if they believe it, if they believe it to be, then why would you judge them when there's a ton of people out there, billions of people that believe in religions that you haven't even seen it but I guess it's the same way when you think about it, right? Like when you talk about the scary stuff, I don't want to like connect it to religion because I don't want to talk about religion, but like what about religion, right? What about people who believe in their God? Like they haven't seen their God, like they haven't seen an actual miracle happen, like he can come here and whatever, but they believe on him. It's their faith that kind of makes him exist, whoever he may be, whatever your religion or your sect may be. And I think it's the same thing with these like paranormal stuff that we concoct in our heads. And like you said, you can analyze it, you know, you can try to figure it out. But I've always been that type of person where it doesn't hurt to kind of entertain the thought that yeah, maybe it's not exactly what we envision it, but
Mhm.
it's not a it's not we wouldn't know. That's the thing. Like not everything can be explained. I mean, like death, we don't know. No one has come back from the death and told us that yeah, heaven and hell does exist or it doesn't exist or whatever. We just don't know. You just blank out, and we just assume that that's what death is. Like maybe our scientific understanding of it is like our body shuts down and you just blank out. It's like basically you're just comatose or you're just asleep and you don't even know you're dead. Like it's just black. and then that's it. You're done. You cease to exist. But I don't know, man. I still kind of believe like the humans are kind of different from other living beings in the sense that there's something spiritual about us, and whether that spirit is separate from the body or that exists somewhere, there's something about us that I think kind of lingers, and you kind of feel it sometimes. I have like a lot of antique stuff in the house that I brought from the old house, and they I don't know, man. I'm not saying they're alive, but they feel different from the furniture that I see at like SM. you know, there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of you know, a lot of memories embedded in these things, and whether it's a product of our imagination or our memories that make them alive, our brain is a very powerful thing, and even if it doesn't exist in actual physical state, if it exists enough in our imagination, it could still affect us. I mean, it can still have that effect on you. Remember that thing where I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube or I've seen it in videos where there's like people that have like their hand their place and there's a divider, and then like a
Mhm.
guy's like trying to stab his hand or something, and it's not his
Mhm.
hand anymore. It's just like a dummy hand, but he
Mhm.
actually like feels like it hurts because he's associating, he's connecting his hand to that hand. So like when the guy stabbed the dummy hand, he's like he literally like felt the pain or something. Because our mind is a very powerful thing, and if you believe it to exist, you're gonna contradict yourself that it doesn't exist when you're yourself believing it to exist. That's hard, man. Like you're driving a car, right? You're alone in your car, and you don't want to look at the back seat because you're thinking you're driving around Rafael or wherever, and your mind starts going, there's someone seated at the back, and it could just be the shadow from the lighting or whatever, but you're believing it strongly that there's someone at the back. Nobody told you that. You created that own thought yourself. And then to contradict that, you tell yourself there is nobody there at the back. So that's the thing. If it's just someone else telling you that there's someone at the back, then you can contradict that. You can say, oh, that's nothing. But if it's your own mind that's playing tricks on you, that's the scary part. It's not even the
Yeah, that's what you
paranormal
call
aspect,
that's what
right?
you call that's what you call OCD. That's what you call OCD. Oh, your
Oh, is that
kid's
what
gonna
that
get into
is?
trouble. Yeah, that's what it is. It's an intrusive thought. That's what it is.
Okay.
Anything that's like that has something to do with fear. It's that whoosh, like sudden whoosh of fear. It could be anything. It could be, oh, there's so many germs and on this phone. I left this somewhere, and there's probably millions of germs on this phone right now, right? And you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
see it, but in your head it's real. I can't touch this phone. I'm gonna get sick. I'm gonna die. It probably has Ebola or whatever. It's the same thing. It's that. That's that whoosh, and like because with all the books that I've been reading, we all have our fears and whatnot, and you have the cortex, but you also have the amygdala. The amygdala always its function is to warn you. So it experiences a lot of false positive all the time because it cannot fail. Because when the real danger comes and it fails, then you know what I'm saying? Then you're dead, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why we always have that. Like that's the amygdala. Like it always gives you signals, because it's
Yeah.
the
It's a spider
fight.
sense.
Yeah, like fight or flight reaction. You always get that. So, but
Yeah.
then the cortex, because it travels slower. So amygdala reacts first, but then it travels to your cortex. Then you kind of sort of understand the whole situation now. That, oh, okay, no, that wasn't really real. Like if somebody tries to scare you, like whoa, and like whoa, and like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
so
You go like,
it's the
yeah, you
same
go,
thing.
right?
Yeah, it's the same thing. So that happens. That's your amygdala telling you stuff like that sudden whoosh of fear or whatever. So it could be anything. It could be like, oh, maybe somebody's inside a house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like oh my god. And then
Like you
once
hear the plates like break
exactly,
in the
what was
kitchen, and
that?
you're like, what the heck was that? Right? So
Is
your
it
heart
is
starts
it
to
a
beat, your
thief?
body goes in this panic
Right.
mode,
So
and
it's the same thing. So it's not only those things, but it can be other things. Like for example, like yeah, getting sick. That can be it. But then in this case, it's like, yeah, oh, there's somebody behind me. That's you talking to yourself. That sudden notion of like, oh my god, but then and you're just talking to yourself, is there really somebody behind me? Oh my god, I think there's really somebody behind me. And the other, that's like, it's yeah, the book that I've been reading, it's like this, like you have like three voices in your head, which is the worried voice, then you have the false comfort voice, then the wise mind. So usually it's the worried voice and the false comfort talk.
That we
They
listen
talk a
to.
lot,
Yeah.
they talk
Okay.
a lot and they argue a lot. The wise man is always like, hey, can you just like stop talking about it? I mean, you're not getting anywhere. Because like the worried mind would say like, oh, what if there's like something like this, blah blah blah, I'm so scared. Then false comfort would give you like false assurances and whatnot, and they would continue to argue. You would continue to argue, right? Like, oh, what if I drink this poison? I mean, I thought about it once, and like, no, like, you think I'm gonna, no, okay, just like just hide it, whatever. Hide the let's say for example, we're talking about like pesticides that you have inside your house. You know, all of a sudden, some you saw something on TV about somebody drinking a pesticide, and I mean, you saw that, and you're like, oh, I could do that. I mean, what's stopping me from doing these things? Sometimes it crosses your mind and it gets stuck there. So these are one of those things. And the false comfort would always say like, no, it's not happening. But then the word voice would argue again, like these two would just worry and whatever, and
Like
it,
Venom.
it, yeah,
Kind of like
yeah.
Venom.
So then it gets
Or the
out of hand.
Hobgoblin, right?
But then
Green
in
Goblin, yeah.
reality, I mean, that's not gonna. Like, come on, that's just like your two, the worried voice and the false comfort voice talking. In reality, you could just like leave it alone. You just have to let it linger there and don't worry about it. Because I think what the problem would be, you want to be sure that you're not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Or you want to be sure that there's nobody. But I think with that, like, if there somebody behind me, you can just like look actually, and you can find out like, oh, there's nobody behind you, right? And that's finished. But
Yeah, but you have this
right,
feeling. It's
but
not,
yeah, but
it's not that easy. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, when I was a kid, it's like I said, if you can just,
that's
it
true.
enters your
When
mind
you're young, that's
because,
true. That's true. When you're young, when you're
yeah,
young.
right? You
But
can't.
I did
It's
that when
like
I was
you
already an
feel it.
adult. Because remember, I worked at K91, right? The other radio
Mhm.
station right before joining Killer B. So there was Killer B, Mellow Touch, and K91. And they always, a lot of people have been telling me stories about that place. And, there's this, whatever, there's that, person there, whatever. I was like, I didn't have a choice because at that time, Flip Mode wasn't there to be with me. And I think yeah, I was all alone because I think Flip Mode went out with somebody and they're gonna spend the night somewhere, and so he can't be with me. And I was sleeping at the station at that time, so I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna be alone. And a batchmate just died that week, right? So I was just, oh crap, I was just so paranoid. I'm like, damn, timing so bad. And Mellow Touch was close, right? They were not
Mhm.
24 hours anymore. And the technician at that time was idle. So he was staying at Killer B. So at that part of
Mhm.
the building, I was alone. I was by myself. I'm like,
Mhm.
holy crap, man. How am I gonna survive this? It was only like what, 1:30 or 2 a.m. I was like, damn it.
Mhm.
So I have to sleep because I have to get up at around like 5 or 5:30. But then because that's torturing your head, things about the
Yeah.
supernatural, and like, oh, it's creepy, blah blah. Somebody just died and they might visit you or whatever, or maybe that person that you're talking about, that black, there's just that shadow that roams around that building. I was like, damn it. And I lay down, started, I started like closing my eyes, and I wanted to go to sleep. But then there's that thing that bothers you. It seems like somebody's looking at you. It's because of that psychological thing that
Yeah. Yeah.
the psychological state that you were in before you went in
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
station. So
So
I
you
was just
can't
like,
get it out
fuck
of your
that.
system. It's always
Yes, right.
there.
So I was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna open my eyes, and if I see something, I punch it, I'd kick it,
Yeah.
or I'll run, whatever. Right. So I was like, fuck that shit. I'm just gonna open my eyes. There was nobody there. And
Yeah,
I
but
took a peek. I took a peek at the
there's
door,
nothing.
because you know how we have that glass,
Yeah. 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 The glass. Yeah.
on the door that you can see through. And I was just like, and I stayed there for like about a minute solid, like that. There was like a full minute there, and I was like waiting if there's somebody's gonna come out or whatever. I'm like, then fuck you, all right. So I was like, fuck you, it's not true. I'm just gonna go to sleep, and I went to sleep, and I was fine.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's
But I
like
was very scared. I was very scared right
it,
before that.
I, our mind is so powerful that it can actually create something out of nothing. Like you can literally
Exactly.
be paranoid and look outside and you can see trees and they'll start to take the figure of a person. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had an episode in your life, where you didn't get sleep for days and then you started to become paranoid and you start seeing things. I mean, back my college days, I did some wild stuff and like you know what I'm talking about. And so we would get any sleep. We would be like up all night with my friends and we would like start looking out the window and we'd start getting paranoid. That's why when you see all these like in the news, you see these guys that start holding people hostage or just start going praning and freaking out because they took drugs and they haven't had sleep for like a week or something and they start to hallucinate because their mind starts playing tricks on them because their mind is like fatigued, and they start to it's the effect. And I did some wild stuff when I was in college. And, it came to that point. And it's like, you could swear that it exists. People will trip on LSD, which is acid, which is like this, like pill or stamp thing. And they put in their mouth and they start seeing spiders in the wall. I mean, like I said, these are all products of your mind. I mean, they start to exist. And once that exists in your mind, who's to tell you that they don't exist? I mean, there's even, it's almost to the point, like, it's kind of like the Matrix, where the world actually looks different, but our mind was programmed to think that this is what it looks like. So you believe that that's what it is. Um, like what about people who've never seen color? What about people who were born blind? Like they're just relying on their imagination, and then they get to see it for the first time, and it's actually totally different from what they were envisioning in their heads once they regain their sight. So it's kind of the same way, and I think it's hard to argue with that. I mean, I know people. I've heard stories from people I trust, people I think are credible, and they tell me, I saw a white lady," or "You know what? I went to the bathroom and I saw a guy wearing a barong standing." And what am I supposed to say to them? Like, you are a liar. You're making that story up. That's BS. I mean, I can't say that to them, even if, let's say, honestly, I don't buy it. But what if they did see it? You know, I mean, what if they did? I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm sure you have friends who've told you these things, like, "Oh, I saw a ghost. I saw a white lady once," or "In that house, I saw," and they believe in it. And we can discount that and say that that did not exist. But what if they did see it, regardless of whether it existed or it was a product of their imagination because they believed it hard enough that they actually saw these scary stuff? I mean, I think that's how it is. That's why when you're a kid, you start believing in it because your mind plays tricks on you.
All
And
right.
even though you
Here's
try
here's the
to
thing that
assure
I
yourself,
that I found on the
right?
internet. It's from a guy named Robert Roy Britt. Wrote an article. It's on Live Science or livescience.com, right? Monsters, Ghosts, and Gods, Why We Believe. There's an excerpt here. Um, he says that humans first started believing in the supernatural because they were trying to understand things they couldn't explain, right?
Mhm.
It's all right. Uh, okay, blah, blah, blah. It's basically the same process as mythology. At one point, people didn't understand why the sun rose and set each day, so they suggested that a chariot pulled the sun across the heavens. So it's just all these things like paranormal beliefs are a product of because we want to know what's going on and we
So
cannot
there has to be
explain
an
it.
explanation.
There has to they come up with their own explanation. So yeah, I mean people
Yeah,
are
yeah,
basically that
but I,
way.
I get that. But there are two types of beliefs. Like there are people who believe because they saw it, and there are people that believe it because of they just have a strong faith that it exists. So those are two different things. Like if I saw a ghost standing before me, I will believe that because I saw it. But there are people who believe things that they haven't even seen yet, but they believe it. So those are two different kinds of beliefs. Like you know, I believe that if I touch hot water, it's hot because I actually experienced that. There's proof. I've experienced
Mhm.
it myself. There's absolute truth to it. I believe that in a different way. But the things that we so-called believe, like, oh, there's a ghost, there's a vampire, there's a werewolf, there's a we don't really believe in that it exists. We believe it because we fear it. It's basically just fear. It's not really belief. It's fear. I mean, it's not belief like that. It's real. Like I'm not saying that I'm sure of it.
That's
You
true.
know what
That's
I'm
true.
saying?
That's
It's
why
fear.
I,
It's just
that's why
fear.
I like Van Helsing, that movie or that story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because Van
Hugh
Helsing's a
Jackman.
human. Yeah.
He
And he's just
is.
like, fuck it, I'm just gonna fight with you. Right. You know, I mean, like,
Yeah, he's just
I
gonna
have all
kill these
these
people.
things.
Yeah, these
I'm just gonna
creatures.
kill you. You're a vampire, I'm gonna try to kill you. So
He was not
it's not
afraid. They
right.
feared
So
him.
that
They feared him.
yeah, right. So it was just like, all right, see, it's like it's just fighting back. It's pushing back
It's
on
fear.
those fears. Yeah, if you
I
push
don't.
back on your
I don't want to
fear,
say like. Yeah. I don't believe in it. Like I don't want it. It hasn't gotten to the point where I believe in it. I fear it. Now, if I see it, then I'll believe it. That's basically my take on it. And the
right?
reason why I'm always kind of like 50-50 about it is that, you know, I don't want to wait until I see a white lady in front of me and not know how to react
Here's the thing, man.
before
Here's
I
the thing.
and I
My
know that
dad would always
probably won't
tell me,
happen.
my dad would always tell me, like, you worry about all these things, you fear all these things. You have any idea what those people who are up in arms, who are rebels right now, who are in the mountains, the things that they have to deal with, and you're scared of a freaking what, a freaking white lady or I don't know, like a manananggal or a tiyanak or a tikbalang. These people are in the mountains. It's dark out there, no electricity, whatever. If they're monsters, they would be there. But no, they're there. They're hiding because they're rebels. They're rebelling against the
I
government.
I know,
These people are.
but that's a
So I'm like,
consequence
yeah,
of
it makes
choice,
sense.
man. That's a consequence of choice. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not a mind thing. It's like there was an action involved that led to that. You know, it's if you're just sitting in your bedroom, you're lying down in your bed and you hear something and it scares you. You know, that's a different fear. Like I said, it's your imagination. Now like I said, I don't really believe in it because I've seen it. So sometimes people kind of misinterpret that when you say, "Do you believe in ghosts?" Yeah, I believe in ghosts. They don't believe in it because they've seen it. They fear it. And they don't want to get to the point where they will actually see it. Dun pa sila maniniwala. It's kind of like why people go to church or like people pray or they believe in acts of good or like trying to get to heaven. They haven't really been to heaven. They really haven't seen heaven and say, okay, it's true, it's
Right.
there. I've been to heaven, it's proof. So let's be good. But they fear that it might exist and that
Right.
it's too
So
late when they die.
just in case, they'd
Just
go to
in
church.
case. You know what I'm saying? Just in
Right.
case. Exactly. It's just in case. Because as much as you don't want to believe a person to tell you that it doesn't exist, I can't also fully believe a person would tell me that it doesn't exist because that person doesn't know too. As much as
Okay.
a person can prove to me that heaven exists, a person also can't prove to me that it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? And I think when there's smoke,
Right.
there's fire. So if somebody's talking about something, what's the root of it? Why are they talking about it? Why are people talking about astral projections? Why are people talking about, have you, okay, let me ask you, Ice. Have you ever had bangungot?
I don't
Bangungot,
know. Like
nightmare.
probably. Probably.
Like a heart
I don't
palpitation that you
remember.
feel like you're being pushed down in your pillow, you can't
Yeah.
breathe,
Yeah.
you're
I think
holding,
so.
you
Yeah.
actually, bangungot is different from like having a bad dream. A bad dream is just
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
dream, it's
Yeah.
nothing
It's
physical.
like
Bangungot is you feel it, you're sweating, you're somebody's pushing you, it feels
yeah,
like
but
there's a,
there's a scientific explanation for that.
yeah, you
So
eat too
yeah.
much pancit.
No, I mean there's sort of that, like, I mean, your body, it could be what was that, like,
Yeah.
read about that. Yeah, it's not like because binangungot because of, something, but it's because
Yeah,
it's your body. There's
it's true.
something
I
about your
agree.
body.
There's a scientific explanation and health explanation to it. But here's the thing: how come your body is in fear when this is happening? I mean, okay, if I had like like a uric acid attack or whatever, I'm in pain, right? So my body's telling me in pain, but I'm not scared, like in fear of something. But when it's a nightmare, it's terrifying. You're terrified. You're not just like
Well, it
going
could be
through
a
like a
lot of
health
things. It could be
issue. You're
stress. It could be,
terrified.
yeah. It could be a lot of things. It could be psychologically you're stressed, or physically you're stressed as well.
But
And
it's
there's just so
creepy,
much
man.
things in your,
Yeah,
so much things
it
happening in your life right now, and yeah, that can happen. That can trigger a heart attack. That can trigger a stroke. I mean, it could be so many things. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean
But
that's
it's
true. But
it's it's always creepy though. Like it's never like just like it's never just my heart palpitating because I feel like my back is like it's a health issue. people actually say like people die of bangungot and they call it what pancreatic something, like what happened to Rico
Yeah,
Yan or what
yeah,
happened to Miguel
yeah.
Rodriguez. They died of bangungot. Because they held their breath. Because usually when you're having that nightmare, you're holding your breath because usually you're in a situation where you're either being suffocated or you're being
Right. Because
overwhelmed by a
maybe you were like
presence,
you were dreaming
or
about you were drowning inside your,
and you're like, yeah,
in
yeah,
your
yeah,
dream.
yeah. You're
You were doing scuba diving or whatever. It's not necessarily you were in a horror house or something. It
no,
could be
not
like you were
necessarily. No, no,
you're
it's not.
driving a motorcycle and all of a
I,
sudden
I
you like
I
you
had a
crash.
nightmare once, dude, that I could hear Rottweilers barking and about to bite me, but they will not
Right.
attack me unless I look at them. So like
Mhm.
I was like trying to
So
prevent
yeah, yeah,
looking
right.
at, but
See,
my head
and
was
you're
like going,
actually doing that.
yeah, like
Yeah,
if
I
I
think
look at
I've
the
had
Rottweilers,
I've had those dreams because I think at some point my wife woke me up. I'm like, what's happening? I'm like, it was just I cannot remember the dream anymore. But it's one of those things, like you're drowning because you were dreaming like you were in a
you fell
boat and
down
all of a
the
sudden you flip.
stairs, you fell
Yeah,
down the stairs,
you
and
fell
your
down the
legs go.
stairs. All right, so it's just yeah, it's just so many things. Like sometimes you don't even remember what the dream was all about, or you were just like
Yeah,
running
some
away
things you
from
don't remember.
something, right? And there are
Yeah,
even times that I'm like flying, like I can fly, and it's that it's almost that same
sensation
feeling that you
feels.
can't breathe because you're like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm flying, oh, and you're like, oh my god, I'm flying,
yeah.
like
You see,
it
so
felt
again, what I'm
surreal.
saying is that's how powerful your mind is. Like that's just how powerful your mind is. You're actually having those sensations that you wouldn't feel, but your mind is telling you that that's what's going on. So you actually get to feel the sensation of it, and it's so weird. When you pee in your dreams, you also pee for real.
Yeah, yeah, that happens
Too
too.
much red
All right,
horse. Too much red horse.
all right, okay. Joe Boy saying hospital or a care home, shit is real. Yeah, I'd
Oh, that's
say,
real.
I'd say.
That's
All
definitely
right, okay,
real.
we gotta wrap it up. We gotta wrap it up.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
Man, okay, yeah, I'm like, yeah, too bad, man. Because
Fire
Wednesday's like a
incident.
holiday here, but I know you guys are in holiday there, but oh crap. But anyway, so yeah, like what you said, our brains are very powerful. Like it's a powerful um, part of our body. It's
It
it's
is very powerful.
yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy that um, now I realize that mental health is really really important. Because back then I thought that no, I mean these things are just in your head, and there must be something wrong with you or whatever. But then when the pandemic hit and I was like struggling with some stuff in my head, just oh crap, this is real. It's real. Like things can actually get into your head because
Yeah.
like you don't have that support system that you used to. You don't have that same lifestyle that you used to. And once you're like
Yeah.
your life gets derailed or something, like it gets restructured, you kind of experience like these changes, and you experience all these things, and you get that bit of stress and bit of anxiety, and man, yeah, at any
It's a
point,
rabbit hole, man. It's a rabbit
yeah,
hole.
at any
Once you
point
fall
somebody
into that,
can
it's
can, can fall into this anxiety problem, so it's yeah,
especially
so
at our
like what you
age,
said,
especially
I
at our
think so,
age.
right?
Well,
I think
you're
yeah,
younger.
I think it's
You're
old age.
significantly younger than I am, but it's part of the age as well. Because we're not as busy, and we don't have that drive like when we were younger, where we're still like looking forward to new
We
experiences.
have
You're
so
too
much time thinking
preoccupied.
about
Yes.
unimportant things.
Yeah.
Oh, what if
I
Raj
think that's it.
falls if he's driving the
I think
bike?
that's it. I mean,
Like,
can you, dude, Ice, can you imagine if the pandemic hit and I didn't have my family? Like, I was still single, right? And I was like living in a house by myself. And like, I would have to call my friends. I'd be like, hey, dude, can we join me? Let's drink in my house, And they'd be like, no, man, I have to watch the kids. No. And I'm like, here in the house. And I'm like, I have my own house and I'm like alone. Dude, I will struggle. I mean, I really will. As much of a loner of a
mhm.
person that I am, I will struggle, but we'll talk about that. That's one of those topics that we can discuss. We'll talk
Yeah,
about,
I know. I was waiting for somebody
you know,
to introduce
no,
me
we'll do
to
that. We'll do that.
a psychologist or a psychiatrist whom we can have as a guest so that we can talk about these things in
Yeah. See,
depth.
like
But yeah,
Gab can
like
relate. Gab, Patrick can relate. He said, I went through that as well. I'm pretty sure Joe Boy is sort of going through it, though he is with his
All right.
family,
Well,
with his
Patrick
beautiful
just said that
daughter and his beautiful wife.
he went through it as
Yeah,
well just
he said he
recently.
went through it.
So
Joe Boy is in
I
UK, so it's a new environment for him,
I think a
and
lot of people are
and
going through
Gab,
this right now.
yeah,
I mean,
we can talk
not
about
just
that.
us,
Talk about
because
that. It's
I've
gonna be a
been
topic.
in contact with some of my friends, and even my best friend. He went through something like this too, and he was just like, man, I was just surprised that it started happening to me. He said he just went praning all of a sudden because he couldn't
Yeah.
do the things that we used to do, and he was just like, man, I couldn't understand myself. It was like, my heart's beating fast. I don't know. He was just like, for some reason, I'm just like anxious, and it scared
Yeah,
him. So that's why he started
yeah,
biking, like Master Yoda.
yeah.
That was the reason why he started biking because
Yeah,
he
that's
was going
why.
crazy. That's what he said.
That's why you should never Google any health symptoms that you're experiencing. Like, oh my God, I have this. You start Googling it. Oh my gosh,
No,
you're
no, no,
gonna be
dude.
up all night. You'd be like, I'm dying. I'm gonna
No,
die.
if it's a physical thing, well, yeah, don't do that because you can just go to a doctor and they can figure it out with the tests and whatnot. But with when I went through this, like with my mental struggle, it helped when I went to YouTube and I found out like, oh, this is what I had, and
Yeah,
or this is what I have, and I started listening to all the because with your mental struggle, it's kind of hard when you don't know what's going on. If you can't
yeah, yeah,
label
yeah,
things,
yeah.
that would scare you. It
You
scared
can't
me a
fix
lot.
it.
Like it
You
really
can't take
scared me.
steps. You can't take steps
Yes.
to deal with it because you don't know what
Once
it
I
is.
found out about what was going on and what it was, and I was like, oh yeah, this is it. And I read that book that I told you about, and they put labels on it.
Yeah,
I'm like, holy crap. Then it made me feel at ease, and I could calm myself, and I'm like, all right, this is cool. This is cool. At least you're not
yeah.
you're not
It
alone
exists.
in that struggle, right?
Yeah, it
Because
exists, and it's been
it's really
diagnosed,
hard.
and there are people who know about it.
Yes,
Who
yes. Because it's really
who,
hard
who who studied it.
if you think you're alone. If you think like, oh, maybe I'm alone, you're not alone. All right. So Patrick, whatever you're going through, you're not alone. And yeah, like I said, like with Gab too,
We'll talk about
like
this.
what?
This will be a
Yeah,
topic for sure.
y- you can get in touch with us anytime. Like if you need somebody to, just like vent out, or just you just want to say something, just talk to
Yeah,
someone.
Gab, man,
Like, dude,
Gab, you can PM me, man. I mean,
hit me.
I know
Yeah.
Gab. He's always been like he's a strong dude. I mean, he lives alone. He's very independent. I mean, I know he has a brother
Yeah. So
here.
yeah,
I'm not sure if his brother's still here, but
don't be a stranger.
he's
We've
very
been
independent.
saying
But
that. Don't be a stranger. Like Patrick, Joe, Boy, whatever. Like,
yeah,
yeah, just like whatever. Like we'll be around. Anyway, all right.
yeah.
So
Let's
we'll
just
see you
message each other.
next.
I mean,
Yeah,
and sometimes it's better with strangers because they don't prejudge you. I mean, not strangers, but people who are not too close to or
right.
whatever.
True.
Anyways, we'll talk about
True.
this. This will be a topic.
All right. So
In one of our
Saturday,
future
we'll
episodes.
catch you again. We'll probably do a recording
Are
on
we still
Thursday.
on?
I'll upload one episode tomorrow.
Gab, are we?
Yeah, we're still on.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So yeah,
All
we'll see
right.
you next time. Thanks a lot. This has been the OJ
Gab's
Show. My
asking
name's Ice Man.
when is our next live? When's our next live? Ice?
Yeah, Saturday. Like I'm cool Saturday.
Saturday. All right. Saturday.
Right.
See you guys.
All right. So we'll see you again. This has been Ice Man.
Rodriguez.
We are out.